Mornings, we are learning more about the inner workings of Facebook as revealed in a massive trove of leaked documents. CBS News, along with other outlets, reviewed thousands of pages of internal research, employee comments, and presentations. And altogether, they suggest that Facebook knew its platforms, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, can fuel hate, polarization, conspiracy theories, and misinformation, but at times did little to stop it. 60 Minutes Plus correspondent Lori Siegel is here with the story. Lori, good morning to you. They went through a lot of documents here. What'd you learn?
Sure did. Good morning, guys. Now, Facebook whistleblower Frances Haugen left the company earlier this year after photographing thousands of pages of documents. The Wall Street Journal first reported on some of them, and now redacted copies have been shared by a congressional source with journalists around the world. While the company says there's no way to draw fair conclusions from the, quote, curated selection, we sat down with one former executive who says the documents reflect his own experience from what was going on inside Facebook.
I became convinced that Facebook was causing harm in the world and causing division in the world.
Brian Boland spent 11 years building Facebook, most recently overseeing market and product strategy. He left last year when he says he saw the platform driving racism after George Floyd's death.
If I couldn't change it, and I tried and I couldn't change it, then I couldn't be a part of it.
You believe that it was tearing us apart?
Yeah, and I'm concerned that Facebook causes divisions in a lot of areas, political being one of them, and a powerful one that we feel viscerally, but also in race and ethnicity, religion.
Evidence of those concerns can be found across the thousands of pages of leaked internal records from inside the company. They provide an intimate window into Facebook's own research and the frustrations of employees who were trying to clean up the site. We shared some of them with Boland.
These people are PhD-level researchers creating documents that are highlighting real harms on the platform.
Like this research that reveals the company knew vaccine hesitancy was rampant in comments. This analysis found Facebook systems missed most of the hate speech on the platform in Afghanistan, detecting it at a worryingly low rate. And this one, from July 2019, called Carol's Journey into QAnon, charts how a dummy account could be served up conspiracy theories in just 2 days. Some of this research showed that within a week of someone just liking a conservative account like Melania Trump or Donald Trump, they were served up QAnon content.
When I saw a lot of this stuff, it was enough for me to leave the company. There wasn't enough focus on taking a research study like that and saying, shouldn't we invest a lot of time and effort in really understanding that?
The report recommended Facebook stop suggesting QAnon content to users. But it wasn't until more than a year later that the company banned the group. It seemed like oftentimes these changes weren't implemented. Why not?
Because those types of safety things are not the top priority. The top priority is growth.
It's the same allegation Frances Haugen made when she revealed her identity on 60 Minutes earlier this month.
Facebook over and over again has shown it chooses profit over safety.
And a claim Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg denied. Writing in a post 2 days later, this idea we prioritize profit over safety and well-being, that's just not true. But according to one memo from last year, Zuckerberg told employees they would not move ahead with part of this proposal to reduce bad content if the changes led to a material trade-off in meaningful social interactions, Facebook's term for user engagement.
Mark chose to stick with the growth side of the business. It's a stark example of a trade-off between, do you want to reduce harmful content, or do you want to reduce people's time on the platform? You choose keeping people's time on the platform.
A resignation letter posted last year from a rank-and-file employee says the cold shoulder from top management was demoralizing. Integrity teams are facing increasing barriers to building safeguards. We were willing to act only after things had spiraled into a dire state. Do you think that this is a fair characterization?
It's a very fair characterization. If you look at the history of Facebook, they clean up the mess after the fact.
And there may have been no bigger mess than the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. According to this document, safety measures put in place ahead of the election were rolled back and only reintroduced after the riot broke out. Internally, frustration boiled over. One employee wrote, "Haven't we had enough time to figure out how to manage discourse without enabling violence?"
It felt like the people who were closest to understanding the work and closest to understanding the problem were the ones most frustrated.
In a statement, a Facebook spokesperson told CBS News the leaked pages lack context and leave an incomplete, distorted picture of our company.
There's this very strong story being told that these documents are cherry-picked. And I can tell you as somebody who's been there, that's just not true.
You are part of these products. You helped build these products. You probably made millions. Why should we listen to you?
I don't benefit from speaking up negatively against former friends and coworkers. There are real harms being caused to real human beings. And at the end of the day, you can decide whether you want to listen to me or you can look at a bunch of documents that were written by some of the most talented people in the world that are saying the same things.
Virtual reality.
Boland is sounding the alarm as the company is pouring millions into an ambitious plan to move beyond social media and develop its own virtual world, a Facebook metaverse. We're entering a new era of the web. It's in these virtual worlds where our children will live and they will have their identities. Should we trust the company?
No, you shouldn't. And you should be terrified, because if the company is going to build a new metaverse, but is going to have safety, security, protecting against misinformation and hate speech as a relatively low priority, what world is that going to be?
Well, Facebook says it's invested millions in developing these new products responsibly. The company declined to make CEO Mark Zuckerberg available for an interview, but said in a statement, "We're a business and we make profit, but the idea that we do so at the expense of people's safety or well-being misunderstands where our own commercial interests lie." These Facebook papers are now part of several whistleblower complaints Frances Haugen filed with federal officials.
Such an interesting bit of reporting there. Facebook's saying, oh, these are cherry-picked, and the whistleblowers are saying, oh, it's a whole field of cherries. It's nothing but cherries.
Right.
Pick any one. Brian Boland, the executive who came forward to you, he's criticizing the company. Does he have a prescription for fixing things?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important. He says more accountability, and he goes to this conversation about regulation. We've all had this conversation before. He says regulators need to create an oversight body to talk about transparency. And, you know, we've spent the last weeks looking through so much of this research, and there were thousands of pages of research. And by the way, we should mention Facebook did this research about its own company. And what he said was, you know, there should be a safe way for this research to go to other researchers and people to share this so we can all have a better understanding of what happens on these social media platforms, if there's a way to do so and respect people's privacy. So I think that's a place to start. And by the way, all of this is important to say that this is coming at a time where Facebook is reportedly rebranding to be a metaverse company. Yeah. And, you know, you might not have heard the word metaverse yet, but you will, and your children will, because this is this next iteration of the internet. And so we've got to start talking about safety there.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a lot. I wonder if the information we now have, too, will impact how we use our devices.
Right.
You know, now that we have the information, are we going to be more intentional as a group, as humans, and not allowing these devices to control us? Lori, thank you so much.